It's gonna be like Pure Heaven demo 2017, but in 2024 or something like that. Like it's gonna have both years on it.
Who's that?
Yo, pick up the phone.
What's up? What's up?
So he had
David and
two drinks as well, hey?
Yeah. It's a power move for people to be like, oh, we got 2 drinks for the show. I just have one, but yeah.
It's all good.
Without further ado, thank you so much, everyone, for tuning in. This is another episode of the Scoped Exposure podcast. Beyond excited to have a good friend from the, not even Vancouver, just like the overall BC hardcore community, Ravi from JUICE. And yeah, I think that's the main band that you're playing in right now.
Yeah, pretty much, yeah.
Yeah, but thanks for coming on the show, man. I'm really excited to be chatting with you.
Think you for having me. Excited.
Yeah. You know, Ravi and I have known each other like far longer than I can even recall. Like, you know, before we were going officially on the recording, like, you know, we were kind of in those circles where we would run into each other for any like major Western Canada festival or show. There would be plenty of times that you would even just come out to Calgary, not even to play a show, just to be at a show, and vice versa. So, you know, it's been a long time since we've had a one-on-one, and it's long overdue ultimately.
Very long overdue. It's always usually just in passing, so it's good to kind of, you know, have a full in-depth conversation.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, and there's definitely been like, you know, times where, you know, I think my personality type is like I really value these like kind of like very intimate like one-on-ones when you're at a show, man. Like there's so many people like always being like, yo, what's up? And then you just have like very short like kind of fleeting conversations at times. So, you know, I'm stoked that we're getting to do this on a much more in-depth level, as you said.
Me too, man. Me too.
But before we go officially, you know, got to check some bevs on the episode. Crucial when it comes to, you know, themes and pillars of this podcast. So tell the people what you're going to be sipping on for the episode today.
So we got 2 going this time. You know, it's the morning for me. So got to have my coffee, and then got to stay on brand as well with the mini Pepsi. Mm-hmm. For those who know, you know.
Yeah. So do you want to break down that a little bit? Because you were mentioning there's some people that have a running joke with the mini Pepsis. Give me some context about the...
It's so stupid. I was just telling my brother about this right before I hopped on as well. Basically in the group chat I'm in with like Taylor and like a couple other friends. I was in the grocery store and I was like, fuck, they don't have any more mini Pepsis left. And then Taylor's just like, what the fuck is wrong with you? Just get a regular size Pepsi. And I was like, nah, you know, okay. Like, it's not like I like love soft drinks or whatever, but I was like, you know, sometimes you need a drink, you need a little something to sip on. So I was like, this is the perfect size. Sometimes I don't want a full size can. Mm-hmm. So I was like, that's why I go for the mini ones. It's perfect, you know?
Yeah.
I don't want a whole can. The mini does it right for me. You know?
Yeah. I don't want to be wasteful and buy like a regular can of Pepsi and only drink half of it. Like the mini makes sense on that regard.
Yeah. So then all of a sudden, a bunch of my friends started making an ongoing joke, and I was like, okay, I'll just go with it.
Yeah. I love that. Yeah. Like it's funny, just like, you know, how Bev talk is almost kind of the intro of this podcast before we get into some of that. Like, you know, definitely soda has been on the down, not the downhill, but it's just been on the decline as far as the go-to thing. Because a lot of people, you know, it definitely feels like sparkling water and some of those things are, you know,
bubbly's on the uprise. Yeah.
Oh, dude, bubbly is like taking over the world at times, and I always have to like yell at people because I'm a Bev connoisseur, so I'm always like, there's all these other cool, you know, sparkling water companies to check out, but some people like the access is there, like they're in every grocery store, to my knowledge.
Oh yeah.
Well, sick. I am trying to check something that's as close to juice as possible. So I'm drinking a New Level craft soda. So it's their Painapple Punch. This is one of our Bev sponsors.
Oh, sick.
I'm going there after the podcast recordings that I have today because they have a new soda that I want to try. But pineapple juice is in this bad bitch, and I think it will suit well for the show. So
That sounds good.
kind of the opposite of you. This is a tall boy versus your little mini Pepsi on the other end.
Best of both worlds, man.
Yeah,
Best of both worlds.
of course. Yeah, you got to have the balance of the scales, right?
Exactly.
If we both brought mini Pepsis, it would be like here's my little Bev for the episode, right? All right. Well, Ravi, cheers to you, my guy. I'm really excited to be chatting with you. Do you have an order as far as doing the coffee or the Pepsi first?
You know what? I'm usually not one for. I don't do soft drinks in the morning usually, but
here we are. I'm definitely gonna screenshot when you're sipping the mini Pepsi and use that as the post for when this episode drops.
Dude, by all means.
Of course.
Everyone will know. Clickbait.
Yeah, of course. People will be like, "Oh no, this will be a good one." Well, Ravi, I'm sure that you've listened to like a couple. There's been a bunch of mutual friends of ours that I've had on the show here.
Totally.
So the kind of intro question that I ask every new guest that comes on the show is kind of their like hardcore origin story, how they got into heavier music, how they got into going to shows. So like take me way, way back in time. Tell me some of those formative moments and, memories for you growing up.
Yeah. So basically, where do I start? Man, my brother pretty much got me into playing guitar around like grade 5 or 6. Like he started playing and then I just kind of picked it up as well. And like me and him always had kind of similar stuff, like taste in music. So kind of like started off by listening to stuff. It kind of went chronologically for like timeline wise. If you think about it, like I started off listening to in like grade 6, or like a lot of the Beatles and stuff. And then it kind of went on from music from like 60s, 70s onto like, started wanting to get a little more like heavier, I guess, or like I got into more like rock music, dude, even stuff like going from like, obviously there's like Metallica, but even went to like hair metal and stuff, glam metal, all that kind of like everything, thrash metal.
Right.
And then ended up finally going to music, like, just wanted to kind of get heavier and heavier as like a couple years later, going to like Pantera and stuff. And then in my brain, like I've thought about this before, I feel like there's like a gap in between like listening to like Pantera and then like getting into like, I guess like metalcore and stuff, like probably like the first two like kind of like metalcore bands I kind of got into is As I Lay Dying, and I think I Killed the Prom Queen.
Oh,
I Killed the Prom Queen was my favorite band. Yeah,
dude, that's an Australian deep cut. That's sick.
I love that band.
Yeah,
it was sick.
That's so. I love that you brought that up.
Yeah, and then it kind of just kept going from there. So then I was like listening to that kind of stuff like heavy through middle school. And then finally in like maybe like grade 8 or 9, my friend Jesse Hannebauer, he showed me, I think this is back on like MSN Messenger. I still remember he sent me, Jesse Hannebauer sent me, I think it was Have Heart, The Machinist. And it instantly clicked for me. I was like, holy shit, this is so crazy.
Yeah.
And great timing, because I think my second or third hardcore show was Have Heart's last show, or like their last world tour. So it was quite the shows: Gravemaker, Shipwreck AD, Cruel Hand, Bitter End, and Have Heart. So I got to see them play in Kelowna.
Damn.
So I got into Have Heart like right before that. And then it kind of just started going into there. And so like Jesse really got me into hardcore. He's like the first person who got me into it and just kind of put the bug in my ear, and it kind of just unfolded from there. Like he started telling me to come out to like hardcore shows. He started introducing me to a lot of his friends and stuff. And then, it's kind of went on from there. Like my first, I guess technically my second band, my first band was in like grade 9 with a bunch of school friends. And then my first band was with Jesse in Cold Sleep with a couple other friends. And then, kind of just like went on from there, ended up getting to the hardcore scene fully from there and started putting on shows I think maybe like right out of high school here
Okay.
and there.
Mhm.
So then put on shows here and there. So yeah, it's kind of funny. Like the first three bands I can ever recall listening to, like when I was maybe like 5 or 6 years old, was probably like Red Hot Chili Peppers, Linkin Park, and Slipknot. So that the taste for like heavy music was already still kind of there.
Right. Yeah.
It was
Yeah.
just a
No,
matter of time before I got to it.
yeah, there's a number of things that I want to break down. First being, no one's brought up "I Killed the Prom Queen" on the podcast, so that's a scoped exposure first. So that's very cool. For any of the younger listeners, like there was a time where it wasn't as easy as just like going and downloading a Bandcamp, discography, or like listening to Spotify. Like sometimes it was just like you would search it on Limewire or some kind of like download service like that, and you're just like, I remember I would only be able to download like certain Linkin Park songs resonate with me way more because I didn't have the full album. Like,
Okay,
what I'm saying?
I gotta pause you there real quick. Yo, did you ever download videos off LimeWire where there's Linkin Park songs dubbed over Dragon Ball Z videos? That was my shit. Oh my god!
Like Dragon Ball Z, like Star Wars, like the Clone Wars, but the Clone Wars that looks like Samurai Jack, if you know what I'm talking about.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Oh, yeah.
like all that shit. Like, man, so many of those.
I remember being so young, still not really knowing like what porn is or anything like that. And I remember like searching up, I'm like trying to download videos of like, Dragon Ball Z, like Broly fighting over like some Linkin Park song. And then it would show up with like a dozen like porn titles, whatever. And I'm like, I don't know what it is at the time. I'm too young, but I'm just like, man, what the hell? Like, why can't I find this video of Broly fighting to Faint by Linkin Park?
Right.
This is annoying.
I thought you were going to tell me that you were downloading porn videos with Linkin Park dubbed over top of them. I'm like, there's a lot of fetishes in the world, but that's a little weird. That's a genius. Yeah, this sex scene is brought to you by Meteora. Dude, no, yeah, like there was so many of those where, like, the song Figure '09 specifically, I still have it imprinted on my mind, this one video where it's like some kind of like Star Wars, some action fighting scene, and it was like to that song. I was like, yo, this song is insane. So no,
Yeah.
I think that there was almost a marrying of like at the time, like watching some of that stuff, you were like dubbed a nerd in high school, but it was like kind of this marrying of like nerd culture and heavy music. And now, like there's a ton of parallels, even in our day for that now. So yeah, dude, that's
what an era.
What an era. Like, YouTube and just like looking for videos like that is like non-existent. Now it's all like, I jumped out of a plane with a piano and blah blah blah. Like,
yeah.
It's crazy.
That's so sick.
So you were kind of mentioning. Oh, the other thing I wanted to quickly say, I love that you were finding out about hardcore bands through like MSN Messenger of all things.
Oh yeah.
But again, like that just kind of showcases like the different ways of communication over time, right? Like, I'm sure in like 10 years, like I don't think anyone even expected Instagram to kind of be the place for like hardcore bands to really like have their way that they're talking to their fans, or even Twitter of all things. Like I had Stu from Comeback Kid and Misery Signals on just a couple days ago. Depending on whether his episode comes out before yours or vice versa, but like he started playing music when it was like MySpace wasn't just like that was just starting. So, it's funny just kind of showcasing how like attention kind of moves throughout different, social media things, if you want to call it that.
Yeah, for real.
So, so you're kind of mentioning, MSN Messenger, Jesse's putting you onto bands, asking you to come out to shows. You start playing some shows. I know that you started as just playing drums, if I'm remembering some of the conversations we've had correctly. So was that kind of like your first instrument before you started to even just pick up the guitar, or was it vice versa with that?
It was actually the other way around. I actually started playing guitar first. Like was I guess the first band I like really fully played in was Cold Sleep, that one with Jesse Hannibauer and Andrew Numata. So I played guitar in that, and then we did like a little Alberta BC run, and then after that, I always kind of knew how to play drums, as in like I've been playing guitar longer than I have drums. So basically, in like middle school, I was in band class through grade 7, 8, and 9, and drums I always thought was super sick. So I would stay late after school and just like mess around with the drums and like try and play beats, because I always wanted to know how to play. So eventually, through like basically 3 years of messing around in the back of the class, I learned how to play. I bought a drum set like shortly after that Cold Sleep tour, and then me and Andrew started jamming, and all of a sudden now I'm playing drums in a band, not playing guitar anymore. So
Right.
Q fought his lungs. And then I hadn't played guitar in a band for 5 years. So people forgot that I knew how to play guitar.
Right.
And thought I was just a drummer. And now it's kind of, then I started playing guitar in Juice, and then people start forgetting I'm a drummer as well. Oh yeah, I guess right before Juice, I played drums in Pure Heaven as well.
Right.
Yeah.
Yeah, no,
Yeah.
it's funny like how some of like I try to be empathetic to people of like, you know, they got their own shit in their lives, so they can't keep 1,000 tabs on everyone, but like it was kind of the same for me, where I was playing guitar in so many bands in Winnipeg and then moved to Calgary, didn't play really in any bands for a couple of years, and then as soon as like Endgame started, it was like, you play guitar? I was like, does no one like keep tabs on this shit? Like, what's going on?
Yeah.
So
I get it.
Yeah, it's funny how because I'm probably in that same category of people where like I had met you when I had seen you play drums in a couple bands, and then it was like, oh yeah, like guitar was the start.
Yeah.
Where like obviously like Juice is your main project, but is there anything where you're like, oh, I do miss playing drums and wanna, you know, either start something, or is something going on right now at that point?
Yeah, so I do, man. I'm always miss playing drums. Like if I had to pick between the two, I would probably rather play drums than guitar, even though I feel like I'm like equally good at both. But I know drums is just more fun, you know. Yeah, you get, as like dumb and simple as it sounds, you get to just hit things and play fast.
Yeah,
I love doing both those things. So, I I'm not playing drums in any, like Juice, I guess, is my current band. Pure Heaven is still kind of a band. It's, I guess, kind of, I don't know.
Okay.
There's still talks of getting that demo finished, but I'm literally not saying anything more because I don't know when.
Right.
I legitimately don't know when.
Right.
All I'm saying is one day there'll be a demo out. Who knows? Could be another few more years, but
yeah. So how many shows does Pure haven't even played? Because the only time that I've seen that lineup was like Wilder was 2018, so it's like been a while.
Yeah.
So
it's been a while. Yeah. So
was that the only time you guys have done something?
We played, I think maybe like, dog, I have no idea. Maybe like 5 shows in like Kelowna, something like that.
Okay.
Managed to get a show in Vancouver. That one was eventful. And then we played Wild Rose.
Got you. Okay.
And then I moved to Vancouver, and then rest in peace. For the time being, I don't know.
No, like it is one of those things where like, even if it took like 10 years and then just out of nowhere, it's like, here's the demo finally, like people would still be like, yo, like, let's go.
That's pretty much what's going to happen. It's going to be like, when was that band? It's going to be like Pure Heaven demoed 2017, but in 2024 or something like that. Like it's going to have both years on it.
Yes. Yeah. It's called 2017 X 2024 or whatever it is.
Exactly. Yeah. So we're still kind of a band. And then I have a project going right now that I'm playing guitar in that I unfortunately can't say like any details whatsoever, but hopefully expect a demo kind of soon.
Cool.
And then
can you talk about like how different that will be from like stuff that people hear now, or do you want to keep your lips as sealed as possible?
I'm like trying to figure out what I can say. It is kind of in the heavy realm. Like I'm playing guitar.
Okay.
But yeah, that's kind of all I can really say.
Okay.
It'll be good.
Guitar,
I'm excited for this.
heavy. Like I think that's more of that's more than enough of a tease. Anyone that knows like anything that like I get to see my friends do is just fine by me. So let's talk a little bit about Juice. So like Juice started kind of, I can't remember exactly what the year was, but it was kind of like Worldview kind of slowed down, and then a lot of members of that band started that project. And so like, just correct me if I'm wrong, you were in the lineup from the get-go, correct?
For Juice?
Yeah.
I guess it was kind of like it's like they recorded a demo, and then I guess Taylor asked me to be in the band like right after.
Oh, okay.
So it was pretty much I think the band was just pretty much Taylor, like Taylor is Juice, like he started it all.
Yeah.
So it's pretty much Taylor, Riley, and Tony. So I believe it was them, because Taylor recorded bass on the demo as well. So I think like right after their demo, I think Taylor had hit me up to see if I wanted to play guitar. And then I was able to make it down.
Yeah.
For the first show.
And at that time, like, were you were still living in Kelowna?
Yes. Yeah, I was still living in Kelowna. Yeah, I think I was still living in Kelowna. I think I ended up moving to Vancouver maybe like 6 or 7 months later.
Oh, okay. Yeah. Yeah, because I remember I think it was when Terror kind of did like the Western Canada Weekend Warrior shit, and then and I was kind of following that. We were chatting at that show because you were playing the Vancouver day, and you were talking about your plan for moving to Vancouver. And you're back in Kelowna now. Maybe we can chat about that, because like, you know, when we talk about like Western Canada as a whole, like Vancouver gets like ultra spoiled just because they're so close to like the States and Seattle and some of those areas. And, you know, Calgary is like, you know, the next major city, but Kelowna is that, you know, kind of spot in between. So like, you know, Kelowna, in my opinion, was always kind of like had all these like really cool bands, like Putrid Brew being like one of the biggest, you know, notables, like, you know, especially like growing up in Winnipeg, like Adam Dyson and anybody in those scenes would just be like, yeah, like Putrid Brew is one of the best bands in Canada right now. And obviously like the activity levels of that band have, you know, fluctuated, and maybe they're not as active anymore. But like, how was that growing up in kind of a scene that's like, you know, for any of the American listeners, like Kelowna is kind of like a, like, I don't know if you can say like a touristy kind of town, but like a lot of people go there for vacations and some of those things.
Yeah, I'd even say it's kind of like, I kind of say this lightly. I feel like it's kind of like the California of Canada in the sense of even like landscape wise, because it's like, dude, it gets up to like 30, 35 degrees here in the summer and stuff. And like I live in a huge valley, so like the lake is always like no more than like 15, 20 minutes away and stuff. And then mountains, blah, blah, blah. But yeah, it's been like I got into the Kelowna. I used to have a really poppin' hardcore scene like right before I got in. So I kind of got in a little bit late, but I was still able to get into it before it like completely died out. Like some other people might say a little bit differently now, but in my opinion, I feel like now, like if you were to say the Kelowna hardcore scene, specifically that, I feel like it's been dead for a little while. Not to say the shows don't happen here, like you can still get a show here and whatnot, but it was super cool growing up and like seeing all these bands, because like hell, Horizons and Putrid Brew, like those are like the two hardcore bands I really, really loved in Kelowna. I know that a couple like older listeners from like Western Canada obviously know about Born for Battle. That was a huge hardcore band in Kelowna. They had a big following from like Calgary and I believe Vancouver as well, but it was cool. Like I ended up being friends with a lot of the guys in like Putrid Brew and Horizons and stuff, and so they're able to open up some doors as well for me in the sense of just like new hardcore bands to check out and like what to come by and check out as well in regards to like shows. I think the first hardcore show I ever went to in Kelowna, you maybe remember this a tiny bit. It was this is I think maybe in like 2007 or 8. There was 2 shows that hit back to back in Kelowna, but it was like Ill Fated played, I think, what was Riley's old band? Um,
From
started with an
Winnipeg,
S. Yeah.
Still Fighting, maybe.
Still Fighting. That's it.
Yeah.
Yeah. So it was like Still Fighting, Ill Fated, Withdrawal was on that. Ill Intent, Frustration, I think Putrid Brew or Horizons could have been on. There's basically like 2 shows that were like back to back in like a summer almost. I think maybe within a week of each other, something like that. So those are like, that was the first like hardcore show I ever went to that's kind of local. And man, that shit opened my eyes. I was like, this is crazy. It's a whole different energy from like an As I Lay Dying show or whatever.
Right.
Which was the first band I ever saw live.
Oh, okay. Yeah. There's a different level of energy when there's people just like flinging their like metal hair around versus like people like actually beating the shit out of each other.
Exactly. Yeah.
Yeah. And, you know, shout out to any of the, you know, like the older heads in the Winnipeg hardcore space, because like Withdrawal specifically, I think was one of those bands that like really went out of their, you know, local circle. And, you know, like I know Cole, who takes photos for Scoped, is like, Withdrawal was one of his very first times seeing a hardcore show. So like I can't even imagine like how many people got put onto like Canadian hardcore music through older bands like that. So have to plug those folks.
Withdrawal, Unknown Misery was actually my first 7-inch I ever bought.
Oh, really?
First record I ever bought, actually. Yeah.
That's rad. Yeah, Adam was one of the very first guests that I've had on, and Joel and I have been talking about doing an episode as well. Not like that band has anything like really coming up to my knowledge, but it's more like they're just like genuine homies. And, you know, again, like I think that they've, you know, built up a lot of a legacy and did a lot of stuff in the past to really set the stage for stuff in Western Canada specifically.
Oh, for sure. Yeah.
So, you know, talking about Kelowna, like it is unfortunate because I know like there are like younger kids that like are into hardcore. It's just like one of those one of those things where, you know, you need people to either kind of take up the torch to do shows or you know, take up the torch to start that new band. But yeah, like I think every scene has like an ebb and flow of, you know,
for sure.
There's enough time in the valley to be like, okay, like let's start the climb.
Yeah.
You know,
it's just a matter of like trying to get, I mean, this is kind of the thing for so many scenes is trying to get the younger kids up and into like hardcore and stuff. And it's been, I mean, I'd been living in Vancouver for like a year and a half, so I'm kind of a little away from it, but you know, it's just like when shows are going on here, it's just like so few hardcore shows are going on. That it's like it's a little tricky to find the younger kids to try and expose them to hardcore and like show them what it's kind of about. So it's been a little tricky for, you know, as far as the valley goes for getting kids into hardcore. Like I'm just right this second, like I'd be kind of drawing a blank just because obviously shows haven't been happening in general for a long time.
Yeah.
So I wouldn't really know how to start on that point. It's pretty much just like, as a lot of things are, just kind of word of mouth, and now social media is so huge. So it's just kind of hoping that some kids are kind of into heavier music, have seen a lot of these like bigger names and stuff. Hopefully just going out on their own whim and checking them out. Dude, for like me, when I was like super young, like when I was listening to like metalcore and stuff, for me, like, dude, I would be going to check out a band name or a band, even if they had like a cool logo or like a cool sounding name. I was like, oh, that sounds cool. I'll check it out. Why not?
Yeah. And
that's how I got into some bands.
Yeah, definitely. And I think, you know, especially over this time, like I've been trying to stay as busy as I can, like finding out about new music, but also like promoting those bands and try to, you know, either do podcasts or playlists around that. And it's the same way. Like someone asked me on like a question story series that I was doing, like what catches your eye, and it's like it's honestly so many things. Like baddest album artwork, it was like, whoa, like this looks crazy, like I need to hear this. Or the band, like someone says a band name, like I did a podcast with this girl named Marion, and she plays in a band called Path of Resurgence from Switzerland. And on
Oh,
our
crazy.
episode, she was like plugging bands from out there, and she plugged a band called Life Crusher. And I was like,
Yeah.
that's a badass like band name. And then like one of their members sent me a DM and it's like, yeah, our EP came out, and I was like, well, like your music matches your band name, like it's crushing. So
Yeah.
no, I love some of those, and I think some people get like busy and they don't like tap into some of those like things that are like, oh, this band name or this album artwork or this riff that someone's sharing is like actually like has some sauce, and I should, go deeper down the rabbit hole, if that makes sense.
Yeah, totally.
By
all means.
Who's, since we're on the topic, who's like the latest band in your like recently listening to that has like really caught your eyes and ears?
Oh man, that's a good question. I feel kind of bad that I don't listen. I feel like I don't listen to like hardcore too much, as bad as that sounds. I'm gonna have to say, like, I got a little lazy. I have to say probably Dead Heat, I think.
Yes, new Dead Heat is so sick.
So good.
Yeah,
so good. That band is so good.
yeah. I love like the perfect blend of like thrashiness to the hardcore attitude that they have. Like any guitar tone that isn't just like distortion, it has like a little bit of like effects just subtly underneath it, is like chef's kiss. It's sick.
So good.
So good. Yeah. Have to shout out Dead Heat for sure. So
Big shout out.
Join Juice. You guys have been doing a couple things. I've had the pleasure of seeing you guys like a handful of different times. Can you break down? So when someone searches you guys on Spotify, you can't search up just Juice because there's so many juices of the world. So it's just BC. So
yeah, okay. So if you're searching up Juice, it's juice space B.C. And if you still don't find it, add another dot after the C. So juice B.C.
Yeah.
You should be able to find it. It's the pink logo, I think.
Yeah.
And then if you just can't remember something simple like that, type in Juice Satanic Pimp. I feel like that's an easy one to remember.
Yeah, go for the song first and then, go through that. Is there, like, I know there's like Juice World and some of those other like artists, but is there like just an artist called Juice?
I think there is. I'm 99% sure. It's been a minute. I think there is also just like a rapper named Juice, because there was a song I listened to with Paul Wall, and I think it was with a rapper named Juice. So yeah. Just for Spotify's sake, we just decided to put Juice B.C, because if we just named it Juice, it's literally going to be impossible to find.
Right. Yeah. I think like it's always weird sometimes when different like people aren't doing their Spotify profiles 100%. Like sometimes like I was so like paranoid when I was doing the initial Endgame drop of that. Like I didn't want to jump onto another like Endgame like artist, or because that has happened with some bands that I've seen. Like I'll get a notification from Spotify being like, Momentum just put out a new song, and I was like, what? Like, and it's like the album artwork doesn't look like anything that Momentum would do. And it's like some like chill thing. And I was like, Momentum's gotta fix that. Like they gotta protect their profile.
Yeah, for real. No, I get that.
Yeah. But I don't think that there's really anything you can just like select something. Like you can just select one thing and then Spotify would be like, all right, yeah, these are the same, when it's like, no, this band has distortion guitars and this band has singing.
They're just like, name, that's a song. Okay, who cares? It's like we have too much music to try and put out and stuff. So
we got too much music to have our hands on some of those things.
The listeners can figure it out on their own.
Yeah. I'm curious if there's something on the receiving end where you're like, hey, like get off our shit. Like they can put in a request to have that kicked off or put onto a new.
Must be.
No, that just came to mind because I think Taylor and I talked about that a little bit on that, but I think it's always just funny when I'm like oh yeah, I think Juice would be great for this playlist. But I'm like, all right, BC. I'm like, why are you
Yeah,
guys not
Juice
coming
B
up?
dot C.
B
Yeah.
dot C. So, just on the music side, like you guys put out the demo in 2018. You put out, I think it was just one, like Demons was just like a single, like
Yeah.
it wasn't a
Yeah.
2-song thing. So, obviously like, bands have had to figure out like releasing new music when they're not able to readily play shows. But if there's
Yeah.
anything that's going on in Juice HQ that you can talk about or plug and tease for the folks, because anytime that I'm like trying to talk about like Western Canada, hardcore bands for people to check out, I'm always including you guys, because I think there's kind of like
I appreciate
a
it.
supply and demand thing with like, a lot of bands in Western Canada maybe lean more on that metalcore or metallic side. And I feel like you guys have a lot
Yeah.
more of that like traditional, like New York hardcore kind of vibe to it.
Yeah. Yeah, totally. Yeah, so basically we put out that single, and then obviously we were still writing and stuff, and then I think we put out Demons last January. So what, like 3 months before like quarantine or whatever, COVID hit. And then that just slowed things down like crazy. So we do have right now, I'm trying to remember, like dog, we have like 5 to 7 new songs.
Cool.
Like Demons and like 5, 6, 7 other songs as
Sure.
well. Like I have a full song written. Basically where we're at right now is it's obviously slowed down a lot because of COVID, as per a lot of bands. We're kind of in between members right now, so it's going a little slower on that as well.
Okay.
And so we're just trying to figure that out, but we still do have, again, like about 5 to 7 songs. Kind of, they're not all fully done, but at least there's at least a skeleton of the song. So we have like a good basis on something to work off of. Some songs that we do have finished fully. We have a song that we've been playing live for since like 2018, 19 at this point, probably like 2019. That we've been playing for like a little while that we still haven't recorded.
Okay. So I've probably like filmed that song potentially.
You have.
Oh,
yeah.
Okay. I'm trying to think of like the riff or some of those things. Maybe I'll have to go back on the videos and check. But no, that's cool.
I think on the because I still watch it every once in a while, the sculpt video from the DPK 5-year pre-show.
Yeah,
I love that video.
It's my favorite Juice set I've ever done. And I think it's fair to like, it's very hard to pick the favorites from that festival because there are so many. But I think Juice is within the top 5 for sure.
I appreciate that big time.
That pre-show, like and I think Taylor and I talked about this on his podcast, but the fact that like people were just like going off to like the sample that was like 3 minutes long, like so crazy.
Oh my God. Yeah. So I could not believe that. I'm like playing, I'm just like getting ready. And then all of a sudden, the video just speaks for itself. It's like just a minute and a half of like everyone just going apeshit just during the sample. I'm just like, we're not even playing yet.
Like no guitar feedback or anything, just the sample.
Just the sample. So I appreciated that big time. I was just like, this is crazy. Like every single show that we play, people go off. I think to this day that there's only literally one show we played where people weren't beating the shit out of each other. And that was, I think, when we played with The Body in Vancouver. It was weird because it was a packed room. So I'm getting sidetracked, but like it was in a packed room, but no one was moshing. And I was like, I don't really care either way. But yeah, like that pre-show was on another level. That sample, I have to kind of clarify, that was our first time. A lot of the shit we kind of just wing. And so we were just like, fuck, let's do the sample. And then we didn't really plan it out beforehand. So it just played in its entirety for like fucking 2 minutes or some shit. And we're just like, this is too long.
But like people were into it.
People were going on for almost the whole entire sample. So I was like, oh yeah, that's cool.
Yeah.
Yeah, I think that's honestly like my favorite set that we've ever played, I think. But yeah, kind of even going back, that new song that's unrecorded, I think it's the second song that we play.
Okay, cool. So for any like major Juice fans or heads, like Juice, DBK 5-year, Scoped Exposure, check the set and watch that whole thing. It's
song,
really fun.
yeah.
But yeah, the second song. So yeah, that's very cool. And I think every band is like, I think unfortunately 2021 is also a year where like, like shows and festivals are like starting to be announced, but like I don't think it's going to be in full effect worldwide until like, start of 2022.
Yeah, I think so. Yeah.
But I think by that year, every band should have something new that they've been working on in that time.
Yeah, like I was just talking with Taylor a couple days ago as well, and I think we're gonna start trying to jam pretty quickly as well now.
Sure.
We don't have a jam space right now, but I mean, obviously we'll figure it out. So we're trying to get the ball rolling on that again, as well as now that like, kind of like restrictions are easing up as well. Like I'm back home in Kelowna, 4-hour drive from him. I'm just like whatever. I'll go anytime I need to practice. I'll probably try and go out there as much as I can on like weekends. Yeah, we already got like stuff kind of going on and planned. We were initially like before COVID hit, we were trying to figure out if we wanted to put out like just put out like a full length. Now, again, this is kind of speaking too soon on what we want to do, but we do have about like 5 to 7 songs or something like that ready. What we want to do release wise, we don't know yet. It's too early to say. Like we haven't even really started jamming yet.
Yeah.
And then I think we're all just kind of chilling. Taylor's busy doing elevator stuff. I just started doing HVAC work as well. I just started my career as well, so everyone's kind of busy doing their own thing. But we're definitely going to start getting the ball rolling on that soon, very very soon, and then hopefully. Again, kind of just depends with like kind of COVID stuff or whatever and like how much we end up jamming, but hopefully like early New Year we can have like music out, hopefully.
Yeah.
Like once we start jamming and realizing like how rusty we are, we'll kind of have a better idea of like when these songs can kind of come out. So
yeah,
hopefully soon.
Yeah, I think like a lot, it's funny because you can think about like every band can practice as much as they can, but there's a different way of like when you're moving around and like the energy and like the adrenaline starts kicking in and like how that might feel a little like they forgot how to like play with some of that. So there might be like some of that, but at the same time, like that same energy and adrenaline is going to be like super new and exciting for people who haven't moshed in like 2 years. So like some mosh moves might look so crazy or super whack. Like there's going to be a balance of scales.
There's people who've been practicing their mosh moves in their bedroom, which, hey, by all means, you do you. I'm not even talking shit. I'm just like,
everyone listening has done some kind of mosh move in their bedroom, like serious or not, whether they're like, listening to the song and they're like, yeah, like, and they're like, oh, did anyone
some parts just hit, man. You got to do something.
Yeah, it's funny, like sometimes like there'll be something happening and I'm just getting super amped and I'm just like, hanging out at home like doing laundry, and then I'll like do a little arm swing as a joke, and then my dog who's like right behind me is like almost like gets spooked at it. It's like no, sorry, it's just this part slams.
My bad.
Just like, and this is maybe a general question, because like one of my favorite things about hardcore is that it's like a seriously non-serious like genre of music. Like there are a lot of things that people can literally do the wackiest shit that like would never see the light of day in like rock and roll or like, death metal. Like there's certain aesthetics in those areas. So like even just naming your band Juice like is not something that's like super common, especially in like alternative music. So like,
yeah, totally.
Like are there other bands where you're like, you see the name that is maybe kind of like in that similar vein of like Juice, and you're like, yeah, that is so cool that this band named themselves this?
Man, I haven't really thought about that before. I kind of, not that I'd like ever say this out loud, but there's been things at like times where I've like kind of thought about that, being like, oh, their band name and like what the music actually is. So I'm like, that's kind of cool. I'm like, just because I feel like, for example, Juice is just like pretty much how you're saying,
Mhm.
matching it to the style of music. It's like, I feel like Juice is such a neutral name.
Right.
It's like it's not like you hear Juice and you're just like, oh, this sounds like some aggressive type shit or whatever, or it's like this or like it's like that. And it's just like I kind of like, yeah, I'd say I kind of like when bands have a name where it's just like kind of neutral. Not that I really care that much, but I'm just like, I was
Yeah,
like,
it's
"Ah,
not
that's
just
cool."
like, annihilation of blah blah. Like that already kind of sets the tone for some of that. But
Yeah,
no, I do agree that and maybe it plays in your guys' benefit with having, although it's not ideal to have all these other like rappers and all these other artists named Juice World and all these kind of things. It almost adds an element of like groove and like swag to like what Juice the hardcore band is all about, if that makes sense.
yeah, totally.
Yeah, I think that's very cool. So Ravi, I have a little segment planned. This will kind of bookend some of the Juice talk, but
Word.
Juice, everyone like like we talk about Bevs a lot on this show, so I thought it'd be fun to put your Juice knowledge to the test. So I've pulled the top 10 juices that, as far as popularity wise, in the States in 2019. So there's 10. I'm going to give you 15 guesses. Or, sorry, if you get 5 wrong, we'll like we're kind of going to do it, what is that? Price is Right style. Or not Price is Right. Family Feud style. So, 3 X's and, we'll like reveal the remaining answers, if that makes sense. So,
I'm down.
the 10 come up. So, what do you think is the number one juice in the States?
Sunny D.
Oh, so let me clarify. These aren't brands. These are just like types of juices, like flavors, if you want to call it that.
Okay.
Yeah.
Is cranberry one of them?
Cranberry
answer?
is number 7.
Okay, word.
So not the number one answer, but it's on the board. So
That's one of them. Okay. Damn. So much pressure.
yeah.
Is it? Wait, no. Pina colada wouldn't be a flavor, would it? Is that a juice flavor?
I won't count that as a guess because I think that's more of like that's more of like a cocktail, if anything.
I think that's a cocktail type thing. Okay.
Yeah. Like think very bare bones juice.
Okay.
Like shit you would
word.
have in your lunchbox, kind of.
Okay, I gotta say, man, there's no way you could hate orange juice. I gotta say, orange juice has got to be top 3 somewhere.
Okay, so that's the number 2 answer. So we got number 2 orange, number 7 cranberry.
Okay.
So still a lot at stake here.
Apple juice is number 1.
Apple juice is number 1. That's correct. Let's go.
Nice. Let's go.
Okay, so we got apple juice, orange juice, and then lower down the line is cranberry. So still
okay,
lots
word.
of games.
Still lots to go.
Yeah.
Okay. To be honest, I might get flack for this. I don't like grape, but let's go with grape. Is grape 3?
Grape is 4. So you were pretty close on there. I'm not a grape fan myself, but it's historically speaking, it's up there.
Yeah. Okay. Damn. Okay, what are the juices? Pineapple juice?
Yeah, I was trying to give you the hint with my bev there, but that's the number 5 answer. So no misses yet. So now it gets into a little bit harder of like kind of weirder flavors that you wouldn't expect to be juices.
Yeah, no, I'm already starting to blank. I was like, after pineapple, I was like, okay.
Trying to like think about like going down the juice aisle in the grocery store and like what are the stuff that I've seen that I would like never touch, but it's there.
Still kind of bare bones, or this is getting a little more detail?
There's like 1 or 2 like bare bones, but now we're getting into some more niches for sure.
Do people like beet juice? Is beet juice one of them?
Beet juice isn't on the list, so that's the first X. But I'm kind of surprised.
Yeah.
Like, I will say that the rest of these are all like fruits. There's nothing like wacky,
Okay.
like, coconut, like pulled, or
Yeah, word.
anything like
Okay. We're not getting too fancy here, huh?
Mhm.
Okay, word. Man, I'm rusty. This is a shame. I play in Juice and I don't know all these juices. Okay, wait, hold up.
So quick
Okay.
reminder: we got apple, orange. There's a number 3 answer, grape,
Okay.
pineapple. Number 6 answer, cranberry, and then 3 below that one.
Watermelon? Is that one of them?
So watermelon is not on the list. It was actually number 11, so it didn't make the list.
Damn, so close.
Yeah, so
Dude,
close.
I already know for like answer number 3. Once I hear it, I'm gonna be like, man, why didn't I think of that? The pressure is just getting
I think
to
you're
me
gonna be a little perplexed, honestly. So
Wait,
one
people
more.
like Bloody Marys or Caesars. Tomato juice?
So tomato juice is not on the list, unfortunately.
I'm a disgrace to my band.
I mean, you got half of 10, which is is admirable. Like I think when I reveal some of these to you, you're gonna be like kind of dumbfounded.
I'm probably gonna kick myself. Yeah.
So number 1 you got is apple. Number 2 you got is orange. Number 3 is strawberry. Ironically,
God damn it.
like
Okay.
I don't know if who's just going out and drinking just strawberry juice, but
That's what I mean. It's just like I don't hear of anyone being like, oh yeah, I start my morning off with some like breakfast and strawberry juice.
right, yeah, maybe a strawberry flavored thing, but not just straight strawberry juice. And then you got grape as number 4, pineapple number 5, mango juice as number 6 is what you missed.
Yeah. Okay. Mango juice is fire. Yeah.
Yes. Yeah.
I don't know how I missed that.
Yeah. That's yeah. And then number 7, cranberry, and then the remaining 8, 9, 10 was cherry, which again, like cherry and strawberry, like as juices seems a little weird. Lemon, and then peach. So like 50.
Okay.
Or 5 out of 10, 50. That's a passing mark in my opinion. So great job on that front.
Appreciate it.
Yeah, no, I it is funny, like, to circle back to what we were originally talking about. Like, I think it's really cool that hardcore bands like can kind of, like you said, pick a neutral name. Like, you don't, like, if someone's like, hey, here's this band called Candy, you don't expect to hear this like super punk, super like industrial, like crazy sounding band. Like when people talk about like Big Cheese, you're like, that's a weird name, but then they're like this super crazy, chaotic, like punk rock hardcore band. So like I think it's really cool that bands can kind of play to that and just like pick a name that's like kind of perplexing, like an eye catching or eyebrow raising. I think is the best way to explain that.
Yeah, real quick, going back to the list.
Yes,
I find it bullshit that Sunny D is not on there because Sunny D is great.
Well,
I used to love that show when I was a kid.
Well, again, it wasn't necessarily brands per se, but I do think is Sunny D like is that still your like number 1 juice, or is that more of like a nostalgic thing?
I'll be real. I could not drink Sunny D anymore. That shit is way too. It's like when like something sweet where it's like kind of like right here, and you're just like it kind of like pinches right here. I don't think I could drink Sunny D anymore. It's too sweet for my liking, but it's a nostalgia level. Plus, I swear Americans love Sunny D. Then again, I'm Canadian. What do I know? But
I think when I did some, I'm trying to build some of these segments for different guests on the shows, just like to kind of really just have a little bit of variety. But I remember when I did Lumpy from Sanctions episode, we talked about like different things because he's big into coffee. We talked about things that are overrated and underrated in that regard. Is there any underrated or overrated juices that you want to, bring to light for the juice fans? And those could be brands specifically. Like I definitely think Sunny D has maybe had its day and is probably overrated. But I'm trying to think of any underrated juices as well. I'm not super big on Minute Maid, but what are your thoughts there?
Okay, do you know what? Here, I need to run out real quick. I gotta grab the juice that I fuck with. Hold on.
Oh, okay.
Hold on. I'll be quick. I live for this shit.
I live for this shit. Oh, what do we got here?
Hey.
Oh,
peach mango oasis juice.
Okay, sick. Yeah.
This stuff is fire.
Yeah.
I love this shit. I recommend, listen, aside from mini Pepsis, get this.
Yeah,
This shit
I'm
is
like,
bomb.
why did you not check that on the episode? Like, might as well
I
just
don't know.
add a
I just
third
realized
bev.
now. This is my third beverage.
Okay.
So this is underrated. Oasis peach mango juice. Go get it.
Yeah.
Please sponsor me. And then I don't know if this is, I wouldn't like, I don't know of any juices that are kind of overrated, but I will say coconut juice is fucking gross.
Oh.
I love coconuts. I could eat a whole ass coconut to myself, but the juice,
Skin and
the
all.
water inside, throw it out. I don't need that. I'll just leave it at that.
Yeah. No. I think I don't know. I just searched like juice brands on Google and I'm like a lot of these are overrated. Like V8s, like don't
Gross.
fuck with that.
Nope.
Welch's probably don't fuck with that. I even think like the naked like smoothie juices, I don't like those at all. I think as far as an underrated juice, I think Happy Planet. Have you had that before?
I don't think I have.
I think it's a Canadian brand, but they have this like I think it's what the fuck is it called? It's like called Super Vitamin C or something like that. And like anytime I'm like, oh, like I'm coming down with something, I just drink an entire one of those and I'm like totally fine.
Damn.
Try to find
one actually, hold on. Even though I'm a hypocrite, so I'm down to buy into the consumerism of it and the whole everything.
Yes.
I know this is kind of a broad thing, but charcoal juices, those are so unbelievably overrated.
Oh, overrated.
Yeah, but again, I'll buy them sometimes.
Charcoal. I don't think I've ever heard of those.
It's maybe in like kind of like those health places or whatever.
They're like black.
They're black.
Wow.
Yeah.
That looks crazy.
I think those are overrated. I get it because, you don't buy juice that's black. So it's kind of a new thing. I think that stuff is hell overrated, but my ass will buy them sometimes because I'm like, I don't know. It's like, maybe I should just buy lemonade, but it's usually like some charcoal lemonade thing. Sure. I don't know.
Yeah.
They're getting me. They're winning. I'm a chump because I'm getting into it, but I'd still say it's overrated.
You're being marketed to.
Yeah.
But the Happy Planet, I think it's called the Super Vitamin C is that if that's a life hack as far as getting over, a sickness or something, I don't know what is. Ravi, we've been going on the juice chats. I do want to take a little bit of a transition. So, anytime I have someone on the podcast, I kind of peruse their Instagram. And I saw that you posted a photo with a mutual friend of ours, Sunny of Hey56, and I thought it was interesting how in your caption you were talking about like a small sliver of the of like Indian hardcore, and I was like, man, like that is something that is like super interesting because I think there's been a lot of people in the last couple of years that have really talked a lot more about like underrepresentation in the hardcore scene. And I think as, someone that was like looking up to Sunny, just through his work, it was like as far as people that I know who kind of like who have that descent, like it's him, you, and Evrinder. So, and still in my opinion, that's like, if I can name it on one hand, like there's probably like an issue there. So I don't know like how, how much or how little you want to chat about just like, getting into hardcore, and just having that level of like, like I don't see a lot of that in my local scene. Like I don't, like talk to me about that.
Yeah, by all means, more than happy to. It's, I know it's always been peculiar to me how little like Indian presence there is in like hardcore whatsoever.
Mm-hmm.
Not that I feel like there's really anything I can do about it, or to a certain extent really feel like I don't feel the need myself to try and push more Indians to like get into hardcore or anything. It would just be kind of cool if there were more.
Mm-hmm.
I know what it is like. Again, I'm pretty much the same. It's like the only Indian people I know in hardcore is Sunny, Avrinder, um, I believe I could be wrong on this. I think Ricky, the dude from Backtrack, I think he's also Indian as well.
Oh, yeah,
He's
yeah.
Punjabi as well.
Yeah. Guitar player, right?
Yeah.
Yeah.
I think that's about like all the people I know. I know like Avrinder knows some people as well, but like I know I'm pretty much the same, man. It's like Avrinder and Sunny are pretty much the only people I really know who are Indian and in hardcore. And I know what it is. Like me and my brother have always just kind of like straight away. Like my brother doesn't like really listen to hardcore, but like he's down for it and like appreciates it and would come out to a show. But I know it's all like more on just like a personal note for like myself. I know what it is. Always just kind of felt kind of the whole thing about like what hardcore and punk is, I guess, kind of being like I say this kind of lightly, like the outcast. Not that I like feel outcast in any way, but I've always kind of felt it's kind of being nice at being separate from everyone else. In like almost all throughout my life, it's always kind of been like that. Even if it's been like, let's say, just as an example, this is totally different. In like high school, like I got along with like everyone, but I still kind of felt like I was on the outside, like I was standing on the outside of where they're at. And I know it's being kind of cool being able to show, like I have like Indian friends and stuff and like family members and all that, like showing them what this world is kind of about and like what the meaning is behind it. And like, yeah, I'll show, for example, like my family members, like videos of like everyone like beating the shit out of each other. Just like, why are they doing that? It's just like, yo, it's like a kind of a mutual agreement. And, you know, everyone kind of knows what's going on. You don't get this kind of feeling from any other real aspect in life. Like even let's say other genres and stuff, you can't really be doing a lot of the stuff that goes on in like, let's say hardcore live shows and like other genres and stuff. And like, it's sweet that it's being able to bring me into, or being able to have me make a lot of great friendships, to being able to take me to a lot of far places that I would not think I'd be able to do or go to before. It's, I know what it is. Everyone's always kind of thought like, as far as like, kind of like my Indian friends have thought, they're just like, they never really understood why I'm like super into this like aggressive type of music, but I know it's kind of a nice feeling, a bit of both, like kind of a nice feeling. Kind of wish that there was more Indian presence in it, but I mean, like, hey, what can you really do?
Yeah, and I think that's an interesting point of just like maybe just leading by example more, and just instead of just trying to like force it, you know, like if your friend who's like genuinely interested and he's Indian as well, it's not like you have to be all like meticulous about like, oh, I'm going to bring this person and then, you know, like it's going to grow that way. Like, I think just being able, like a huge thing that I've heard from people that felt empowered to like start their own band, and they are someone that's maybe on the minority side of things, like just being able to look on a stage and see another like person, like even if it's like a girl playing guitar, being like, oh man, like, okay, I can do that. The same thing when it's like, oh, like that, like that's my skin color, like I can do that too. So like I do think that's probably a realistic way of looking at it, where it's like, you know, you're not going to be going and just like handing out juice demos to like, you know, only certain people.
Hey,
you know,
get into hardcore.
Right. Yeah. And I think it's like, you know, a lot of people, like, I think it's over the last 5 years, even, like, you've definitely seen a lot more diversity on multiple fronts in hardcore. And I think it's just a gradual thing. Like, I think by the time it's 2030, like hardcore shows will like be a full like melting pot, if you want to call it that.
Yeah, there was recently I forgot how I stumbled onto this. I think maybe it was Pat Flynn posted something, and basically like led me to, I found out that there's like an Indian hardcore band, like I think near New Delhi. I can't remember the name. I'll have to try and find them and link it to you. There was an Indian hardcore band I found that there was in New Delhi, and it was like straight up like hardcore that like we'd listen to, be into, and I was just like, this is so goddamn sick.
Yeah,
I legit till like from like 2 weeks ago, I didn't know that there was any Indian hardcore bands at all, and I was like, this is so goddamn sick, because like I knew that like I knew that there was like death metal bands and stuff there before
Mm.
in India, but it's just like I was stoked. I was like, I wish I could like link up with these guys and play with them. I was like, this is so sick.
Yeah.
It's just like when, finally finding out that there's hardcore music in India as well. Like obviously there like people listen to hardcore all over the world, but then like actually seeing that there's a hardcore band in there, I'm just like, this is so goddamn sick. It actually makes me feel good. Like the presence is kind of growing. And I'm hoping that they can try and hopefully they can make it over to like North America one day. I think that'd be kind of cool.
Yeah. I think like the and I got a lot of friends in the States, so please, take this with a grain of salt. Like I think that if there weren't any new bands and it was only bands in like the other parts of the world that were, getting put on, getting signed, like I think that would really increase, the activity levels of some of those things, because like if someone asked you like what's your favorite band from New York, LA, or like any of those hotspot areas, it'd be very easy to pull like 10 off the top of your head. But if you're like, what's your favorite band from China? What's your favorite band from Brazil? What's your favorite hardcore band from Singapore? Like some people are like, I actually like know zero about that scene. Like and again, it's not one of those things of like, oh, I'm only listening to this band to like give them the time of day. Like one of my favorite bands from Singapore is a band called Fuse, and like they're like this mostly all girl like hardcore band that's like writing like really New York hardcore kind of stuff, and their full length was like one of my favorite things that got put out last year. So again, it's like it's like I've always said multiple times here on the podcast, like I think a band from any more niche or crazier part of the world and is putting out as good a product as any of these bands from these like really cool scenes, I think just has the leg up on that to be like, no, we're from, Kelowna, BC. No, we're from Singapore. No, we're from like, this little like random town outside in like Montana or whatever. So I think it's important to like, again, just like support those bands, because it is definitely a lot harder for those groups to break out.
Oh yeah, by all means, yeah.
Yeah, and maybe us talking about that, can hopefully bring Juice out to India. I think that would be so sick.
Dude, that'd be so sick. I still one day. I mean, I've been there like 7-8 times now, so I'm sure I could probably find out some sort of way to play a show there. Right. I would love to. Yeah. Like, I still only know of like I only know of like what Metallica and like Architects playing in India. Right. I'm like, that's about it.
So let's make it big mainstream bands go, Architects and Juice.
And fucking Juice, yeah. Like, dude, I'm sure I could find someone in India to put on a show.
Yeah. Well, honestly, if there's literally anyone listening, like, let's make that happen when shows come back.
Yeah, contact me. Let's make Juice go to India, even though no one knows the Juice, but let's do it.
Yeah. Is there certain juices in India that we don't have here in North America? Or is that just a total random question?
I won't say, do you know what? No, I wouldn't say that was like a total random question, but like, and I won't say that there's any juices over in India that there aren't here. It's just like they just put kind of their own twist on it. Like there's been so many like markets and stuff that I've been to where there's like a random vendor with his own like 2-wheel kiosk type thing where he makes his own fresh juices, and they'll like throw kind of their own little mix into it, like masala and like maybe a couple other things where it's just like tastes so authentic and good there. Yeah. I'm just like, man, yeah, like it's fire.
Yeah. Indian cuisine is like one of my favorite things. So like, I'm sure even if someone's like making juice, like I'm sure that there's going to be a little bit of like, I'm sure there's some like spicy shit that would just like blow my mind. If I had it like authentically made, like not just like, here's like the Costco version of this or whatever. Yeah. Dude, yeah. I love all the juice talks that we've been able to have here, and but yeah, to bring it back to what we're talking about, like I think just like continually pushing that, like having those people on those stages, like being able to, Sonny is like one of those people that like is globally seen by a lot of people in hardcore, and especially when he's like standing and filming bands with the camera over his head, like you can't kind of deny that, and it's. Me and him have talked about just like how crazy so many people are just like, sucking the Hate 56 cow tit, but like we'll still like send him the most heinous racist like comments half the time. Like
Yeah.
he's like, I'm unsubscribing because of this. He's like, you'll be back. Like you'll always be back.
Yeah, you will definitely be viewing my shit at one point. Yeah, it's like just think about everything you've said. Like, yeah, I kind of hope that there could be, obviously I won't know. People would probably know before me. It's like I hope that, I don't know, people see me playing shows and stuff and maybe kind of be inspired at one point. Like, who knows? Sometimes, dude, there's like times where you'll be playing a show, some random person could walk in and be super into it. Like that's happened. There's this one Indian girl I actually know out in like Vernon, a little bit outside of Kelowna, and I ended up meeting her a little bit after. Basically, she said she was like downtown one point and just like walked into a venue and saw me playing, and then like 6 months later, I somehow met her. I forgot how, and who knows? There could be instances like that where hopefully something as simple as that could end up inspiring someone to someone who's Indian to hopefully get into music, because I mean, not that I had that myself to have any like Indian figure to look up to in regards to like music, but just like if I know for a fact that like, let's say 10 years ago, if I saw some sort of Indian figure playing live music, like that was kind of in my sort of realm, like, well, just sorry, like hardcore punk music or even heavier music playing, and I saw that, I would definitely be inspired to, I want to pick up the guitar, an instrument or something, and like learn and be one of the few people in Indian culture who's into this extremely niche area of music that like no one gets into. Like, again, how we said a couple minutes ago, it's just like Avinder and Sunny are the only people I like really know who are into hardcore music.
Right.
So hopefully I could lead by example at some point, even if it's like random. Even if it's just like one person, that'd be cool. Even if I may not know about it ever, who knows? Like, it's just cool.
Yeah, I think that's a huge point. Like, I'm like, I do so much that like I realize that like there's gonna be multiple times where like a podcast I do or something I say on a podcast that like shouts a band out or like pushes the needle forward in someone's hardcore journey. Like, I don't need to know all of those receipts, if you know what I mean. Like some things will just happen in the background, but they almost become cooler when you find out about them like a year later, 10 years later. Like,
totally,
that story of that girl that just walked into the venue and saw you. Like, if she like came up to you that night, like that's still a story, but like it's almost cooler that like 6 months later you're like, oh yeah, what's up? And you're like, oh no, like I remember seeing you, and you like, it's almost like more mind-blowing with having
it was straight up mind-blowing. I was just like, wait, what? She like, sorry, my memory is a little bad. She like came up to me and was like, hey, like the first thing she says, like, hey, like you play drums, right? I was like, the fuck? Like, how do you know this?
Right.
So shocked. Just like some random girl came up to me and kind of just like hit it off from there. So I was like, that's super cool.
Yeah. And I think like it's that same thing where like leading by example, and like festivals and different things, like it's such a fine line at times where I find where like a lineup will come out and then like there will automatically be the people being like, oh, here are the bands that check these like representation boxes, but at the same time it's like, well, is that band sick? It's like, well, yeah. And then it's like, well, yeah, they deserve a spot on that lineup, like if you're taking that stuff out of it, like it's like the criteria should be, is the band sick? And then like being actually critical of like, okay, where's the female representation? Where's the non-binary representation? Like, and actually like, giving those people, because again, like if you're just going to go off of like cool bands, like there's far more like, and I'm just trying to watch how you say this so it doesn't get misconstrued. There's like, if you're looking at every hardcore band in the world right now, a lot of those are just like a 4 to 5 piece lineup of white straight dudes. So like you need to be able to like balance the scales to hopefully, like I said, like in 5-10 years time, like it's where you look out into a hardcore crowd and you see all these different races and genders and just like walks of life. But like you said at the beginning of the episode, like we all come from this place of like not really feeling like we fit in, but coming together and like, okay, I fit in here. Like this makes sense.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah.
Yeah. Well, Ravi, we can start to wrap up the show. This has been really, really fun. Like, obviously, like, you know, chatting about some serious things, but also talking about, you know, juices and
For sure.
plugging all all the juices we love. The final section is a favorite mosh story that you would like to end the episode on. So, you know, you're
That's
a
a good
mosher
one.
yourself. I've seen you, you know, give some hits, take some hits. I was having flashbacks to, I think it was Stepping Stone. I don't know if it was 2016 or 2017 when they played in Calgary. It was the year that Nathan knocked his teeth out, and Luke said, "I want everyone
Oh
to look."
my God.
Oh no, no, it wasn't that. I can't remember. Someone said beat the shit out of Ravi at a show.
Oh my God. Yeah. That's right. I think that was in Calgary. That may have been, that was at Wild Rose. I think 2017, maybe 2017 or 18. It could be.
Maybe was it Worldview? I'm trying to remember. Like, there's so many shows that
Yes,
blend
that's it.
together in my
Okay.
mind.
I'm so certain that Stepping Stone has done that as well. But yeah, no. Worldview. Okay. I think that was at when it was called the Western Front.
Yeah, the year of the chains and Worldview.
Yeah, the year of the chains. Yeah. That's it. Yeah. Yeah. I think Spencer said like at one point in the song, like at a break, he's like, "Yo, beat the shit out of Ravi." And then
what was going through your mind when that was said? You're like, oh, great.
You know, like one of those memes where it's just like, it's one of those like,
yeah,
those where you just like, they can look around the room. It's just like, am I gonna get the shit beat out of me?
Right. It was like, well, Spencer said, so I guess that has to happen.
I was laughing. I was just like, oh my fucking God.
Yeah. But yeah, if there's a favorite mosh story that you'd like to share, whether you know you were the either on either side of it, whether you're playing a show, whether it's just like something that you saw, that's kind of the final segment here.
I can't think of. Okay, man, there's a lot to choose from. There was, okay, I'll probably go with this, even though this situation sucked, but I think it's funny to say it back because it makes for a good story. Sanction and Vane played in Vancouver at 333, I think in like October or no, September, like 2018 or something like that.
Yeah.
I'm watching Sanction from the side, and I remember like they're about to play their last song, like just watching from the side of the room. All of a sudden, I wake up in the side room, and I'm looking at, I think Spencer McDonald, just like dead-eyed, like 1,000-mile stare straight through his eyes, and I'm like, okay, basically, I got knocked out cold. So it was like a film clip. It was literally just like me watching Sanction, and all of a sudden I'm in the side room. It's like just like this little bit,
right?
Splice it together, dude. It was trippy. I think someone was moshing. I don't recall this at all. I just remember being on the side, and then apparently I started moshing, and someone starts moshing into me. I just get clocked. I'd like limp body, just like fall back. Apparently, I fell into someone. My friends carried me. As I'm getting carried into the side room, apparently I like grabbed one of the doors that goes into the side handle or into the side room. I like had a fucking vice grip on this shit and like was not letting go. Like as I'm unconscious, and they had to like pry my hands off. And then all of a sudden I finally wake up in the side room. Taylor's beside me, and like, dude, my brain was so discombobulated. I was like, I did not know, straight up thought I was dying for like a few seconds because everyone's looking at me.
Yeah.
Everyone's like fucking like Sanction just finished. Like John from Vane walks in, and he just looks kind of petrified looking at me. And I'm just like, why the fuck is everyone kind of looking at me?
Right.
Taylor's like right beside me. He like says something, probably like 5 seconds later. I'm like this slow. I like look up at him. And then, I just got my shit rocked.
Damn.
Got knocked out cold. And then I remember like Spencer asked me like, I might butcher this a little. I think he asked me who the president was. I said Pierre Trudeau. And then he asked me then, because that was a bit of an incorrect thing to ask. Then he asked me who the prime minister was.
Right.
And I think I said September.
My God.
So then I was like, holy fuck.
You're like, oh, something is up.
So then, shout out Jesse Hannibal and Chase Allen. So when I finally got my shit got my brain together just a little bit,
Yeah.
they took me to the hospital and I had a wild ass concussion. And I remember I like somehow my knuckles are still kind of messed up. I don't know if I fell on them, had like blood all over my hands, and apparently like I got it all over my water bottle. And in the hospital, I'm asking Chase. I remember asking once, I was like, yo, why is there blood all over my water bottle? He's like, oh, it's from your hand. I was like, okay, weird. Then apparently I asked that for about another 10 times.
You just couldn't get over it. You're like, I don't understand why.
I don't get it. So yeah, I got knocked out cold and then saw No Warning and Comeback Kid and Higher Power. I think like a day later.
That was like right after that.
Yeah. Man, I was chapped. I was like, No Warning is one of my favorite bands. Best set I've ever seen in my life was No Warning at Rainfest. But yeah, so I was like, shit, this is my second time to see No Warning. I had to just kind of chill on the side. All my friends were just like, don't mosh or do anything. You have a wild ass concussion. Don't do anything. And I was still like trying to play it safe. I was still trying to like jump up.
Yeah,
like, dude, ill blood, come on.
They were almost like, where's that vice grip where it's like, they just lock it in and you're just standing on there on the side. You can't even move anymore.
Yeah, I'm just like, So
dude, that's
probably
crazy story. Wow. And you told that like beautifully. Like I could picture like everything kind of happening in real time there. So
not fun for me at the time. Kind of scary. Thought I was dying for a few seconds. I couldn't figure out what the fuck was happening. But funny story to tell back.
Yes. Yeah. I think most bad things turn into great stories at one point. But yeah, it doesn't discredit the like you waking up and having everyone look at you like, am I on my deathbed? Like, are these my last moments? Like,
yeah.
But you told that very well. Well, again, Ravi, I really appreciate you coming on. If there's anything you want to shout out, plug, or send the people off with before we wrap up recording, the floor is yours for wherever you got, my guy.
Appreciate you bringing me on. I don't think I really have anything to plug really right now. Juice is kind of still writing away, but if you want to check out my band, I'd appreciate that big time. Again, on Spotify, it's Juice B.C. Or if you forget, just type in like Satanic Pimp.
Yeah. So that's a song name that you can easily remember. All of Ravi's stuff will be in the show notes, in the description of the video. And appreciate you coming on, man. This was really, really fun.
Dude, thank you for having me on. It was a pleasure.